Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Google Digital Garage today. My name's Joe. I've been working on this project now for just over 6 years, possibly. My background is in digital marketing. I run my own sort of one-man, two-man independent agency, and I've been working in the digital world for a long time. So hopefully I'll be able to bring some knowledge to you today, add some additional bits of information, and hopefully just give you that little bit of excitement that you might not get at this time in the morning on a presentation as well. Before we get in, I'd just like to introduce Chami. Do feel free to say hello in the chat. Feel free to introduce yourself. Why are you here? What are you doing here? And hopefully I'll be able to sort of bring some of your information, some of your points of views into this presentation as well. Throughout today's presentation, you can ask questions at any point. Chami will be banging those questions to me on we've got a little moderation doc, which will hopefully give us a bit of an idea of who you are, any questions that you've got, or even if you're just going to say hello, introduce yourself. The more interactive it gets, the better it is for you. And more importantly, the more interactive it gets, the more hopefully you'll be engaged and the more you'll enjoy today's presentation. So today's presentation is obviously going to be on find your balance with technology. So I'd recommend having maybe a little digital notepad, a notepad itself. Feel free to take some print screens, and hopefully this will mean that you'll take away with today's session as much as possible. Addition to this as well, I would also recommend, if you need to, rewatching this presentation. You can rewatch this up till tomorrow at approximately 12, and this should give you a really solid baseline of maybe if you're struggling with using technology, maybe it's breaking too much into your life, you're getting comments about it. This could be an amazing little place just to sort of start your journey into sort of like seeing technology as an assistant as opposed to part of your life. So without any further ado, let's kick in. So first of all, when we're talking about technology, we're going to break it down into sort of 4 key areas and 4 key aspects. The first one is, what is digital well-being? So a lot of people might talk about this. A lot of people say, oh, break from a screen and so on and so forth. But actually, let's break it down even further and just break it down to what it is to have digital well-being. Addition to this, we're going to define your balance, define what balance means. So, for example, we're not saying do not use technology or use technology for 10 hours a day. We're literally saying, well, where does it sit in your life? Where can it sit? Where does it need to sit? And how can we get that balance so that you get your natural use of technology that improves your life through communication, through even just work, possibly. But also, when does it start to bleed into your personal life and start to affect you personally? So we'll talk about that. Additionally to this, we're also going to go through tips and tools to achieve a better balance with technology, start opening out some of this conversation. And then last of all, how do I apply those tips and tools to form healthy habits? And that is the key here. We're here because we want to find your balance. And the reason we're talking about this is because we want to be able to build new habits into our routines that basically break some of our old habits. This isn't saying you're right or you're wrong. This is literally saying, how can we develop this balance? How can we create new norms and take them moving forward? So the first question, what is digital well-being? Feel free to stick this in the chat. I love every single person who's in the chat just to sort of drop a comment in what they think digital well-being is, how it affects their life. I know, for example, when I think of this, I think of, for example, I have 2 kids. I don't want to be that person that just sits there on the phone, lets the kids watch TV, chats to his mates on WhatsApp, lolls at a few Facebook videos, flicks through TikTok. 3 hours later, my kid goes to bed and they know my face and we have fun. But actually, have I really achieved anything that day? So when I'm thinking of digital well-being, I'm thinking of, well, I've got to make sure I have a balance. So the reason we say that is because the definition of digital well-being is a state of being comfortable and content with how technology fits into your life. And this isn't always going to be the same for everyone. It's the result of feeling aware and in control of the use of technology. So, for example, every morning I go downstairs. I'm not going to say what I was going to say because sometimes it turns speakers on. So I might say, hey, the company that's running the Google Digital Garage. And then I will say, turn on Radio 2. Every day that's there. I see pictures on my little assistant and I see them. It reminds me of moments in my life. I love it. That's digital. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not sitting staring at a screen like this. So it's about seeing actually when digital fits into your life and helps you, there's nothing wrong with that balance. It's finding the technology that fits in for you. So digital well-being is about having that balance and relationship with technology and basically understanding maybe how you can control it. So define what balance means for you. So this sort of exercise will sort of look at your balance with the relationship with technology and look at your goals. So one of the things we're going to do here is reflect upon your relationship with devices. So what is it you have? Can you think at the top of your head, and feel free again to put this into the chat, put this into the comments. What devices do you think you have? How do you use these devices every day? So when you're thinking about this, you need to consider how you can reflect upon these devices. We're going to put you through a few ideas, ask yourself a few questions, put pen to paper, and give you a minute or so to answer some of these questions. So what devices do you have is the first one. And then hopefully when you start to think about this is, well, what do you do with these devices? How do you use these devices? And here's the questions we're going to go through. So what do you use your device for? So personally, for me, I have a mobile phone, I have a laptop, I have a Google Assistant, and I have the Google Home as well, the one with a screen. And basically, I use it for work. I use it for personal life. I use it for organizing football. I know that comes under personal life. I've got about 5 different email accounts to different companies that I work with. So yeah, for me, I might touch that device probably more times than a lot of people would a day. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's about understanding then, am I on it then in between on TikTok? Am I on Facebook? Is it affecting my work life? And more importantly, is it affecting my personal life? And to me, that's where both of those are very important, because what devices do I use? I've just told you. What do you spend a lot of time doing? I've looked once or twice when I'm on digital well-being side of my phone, and it shows me I'm on email maybe for an hour, because sometimes I might be traveling, I'll send emails on the go. But once I remember I was just bored at night, sat there for no reason, flicking through TikTok for 2 hours. The next day, it was like, you've used TikTok 90% less. And I was like, 90% less? Had a quick look. Wow. Why have I burned near that much time on that platform? Like, fair play, a quick in-between things, 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there. But what have I wasted my life on if I'm just doing that? You don't learn anything. It's just entertainment. And then last of all, what do you spend very little time doing? And you might ask yourself, like, then, right, my kids get home at about 5. They go to bed at 7. Right, I've got 2 hours where I've got to cook dinner and I've got to spend time with my kids. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking at it going, I don't spend enough time playing with my kids, actively playing with my kids. And it's like, and this isn't my everyday, but some days, I'm guilty of this. I might get home at 6:30. So I've got half an hour of time. So I need to maximize that time. So now what you're doing is you're asking yourself, what do you do every day? What do you spend time doing? Actually, what would you like to do? Once we ask ourselves these questions, we can now start to go, actually, I'd love to do more of this. This is what's important. Okay. Could it be educating yourself, learning a new trick, learning a new tool, learning a new platform? Right. Stick yourself a routine of half an hour a day doing that. You've just knocked TikTok out of your life. You delete TikTok. All of a sudden, you've now got an hour, half an hour a day of learning that you didn't have before. And now you can use that to sell. And now you're making more money because you've just built a routine. So ask yourself these questions. Make a note if you haven't already. So when does technology add the most value to your life? So personally, I know I go to the gym in the morning at about 6:30. I will message my mate who picks me up. We all both go to the gym. We come back. To me, it doesn't really add a lot in terms of like value to my life in terms of that. But I know my wife, for example, every single time she does a workout, she does them at home. She puts it on the TV. She uses the YouTube app. So straight away for her, it's full on fitness. It's developing her personal well-being. It's giving her time to do that. I also have WhatsApp, so I communicate with a lot of my family using that. Email, it makes my life easier to do that. And then when we're starting to think about this, actually, well, what other things do we do? Do these things have anything in common? Is it the fact they're improving communication? Is it the fact they're making your life easier? Well, brilliant. And that's what you want to be able to start thinking about. What are the positives of using technology? taking your family to the other side of the world. Can you go and show, for example, like I have a VR headset. I could put on there like a video of when I went on holiday to Hong Kong before kids and show Ellis like what it was like when I was there, teach him about things. So technology can be used for good. So we're trying to think, actually, can we educate? Can we entertain? Can we improve our lives with technology? When does technology add the least value to your life? So one of the things I'm quite guilty of sometimes, I can be mid-conversation and my phone might go boo boo, and I'm like, well, I can ignore that. Boo boo. I'll ignore that. Boo boo. Well, it's 3 messages. I might check. It might be important. So I can literally mid-conversation and be like, quick message, but then I just stop this conversation with someone. Realistically, if it's something so important, they're probably going to ring me. And you know what? I can then judge it at that moment and go, oh, they're ringing at 2:30 in the morning. Probably going to be important. So notifications distracting you when you're enjoying life, when you're at the dinner table, when you're reading a book. Actually, you're reading a book, you're at the dinner table, you're with friends to engage. Mindlessly scrolling through social media. So once, for example, I remember one of my good friends, Lauren, was at my house. We were sat there having a cup of tea. And I was having a chat pre-kids where we had time. And literally, she just mid-conversation got a message. I was like, that's fine. Answer the message. And then she just, I imagine, just by default, by a automatic synapse in the brain, opened Facebook, started flicking through Facebook, laughed at a video. And I literally just said to her, what are you doing, Lauren? And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, we were just having a conversation and now you're flicking through Facebook. And she's like, oh God, I'm so sorry. I just did it automatically. And it's these sorts of things, this mindless distraction of scrolling, that until you take note of it, are you going to do anything about? Go to bed early. Don't sit up watching TikTok for 3 hours. Playing long sessions of online gaming till 4 in the morning, getting up at 6 in the morning, being really tired the next day, repeating it, and then going to bed early because you're absolutely knackered. And if you've got kids, directly affecting that. It's not to say you can't game, not to say you can't enjoy it. It's just spending that time. And then, yeah, basically think of what have these things got in common? Are these things that are entertaining you? Okay, be entertained, do something else. What time of day are you doing these? Late in the night? Okay, start to think, right, I'm going to give myself a time slot. I'm going to say between 8 and 10, and then I'm going to go to bed. Or every other day. And every other day, I'm going to spend some time with my wife, with my husband, with my dog, with my friends, and start to go, actually, I am removing my life because of technology. And it's that fine balance is what we want to be able to prepare yourself for. So technology can add the most value. Where? Staying connected. My gran, before she died, unfortunately, we bought her a tablet. And she was like, I don't need a tablet. But then WhatsApp sort of started to become quite a big thing back then. And she was like, well, I keep seeing these pictures that Joe brings of my new granddaughter or whatever, and they come in our family group. And everyone shows the pictures. She was like, well, I wouldn't mind seeing them. So we bought her a tablet. All of a sudden, she was like, oh, I need to sign up for these things at the shop. So I added an email on there for her. And then all of a sudden, she could take video calls when it was big moments. At my wedding, she came to our wedding. And then afterwards, we did a video call with her in the morning after the wedding. And sort of, she explained, oh, how was the evening doing? I was too tired. Of course you were. You were 80 odd. You went to bed earlier. We had a really cool video conversation. So all of a sudden, staying connected is so much easier because technology just means she flicks a green button and it works. Self-improvement. You've got books now. Look at Kindles. You can fit hundreds of books onto a device that is probably no bigger than a small book. You can gain knowledge. The only people that could talk to me and educate me back in the day were my teachers, was an Encyclopedia Britannica, and my grandma, and my parents, and my uncles. And if they didn't know it, you had to go to a library. And if you didn't find the right section of the library, well, I don't know what the answer was. Then all of a sudden, computers came along. We got the encyclopedia games. We got the internet where you can search. Now we've got the vast world of the internet. Now you can use AI to even elaborate upon answers and give you actual definitions and actual working definitions rather than just text. So all of a sudden, this knowledge is unlimited, is dense, is vast. But actually, all of these is improving the fact that this is what technology can do for you. You can do things quicker, and look at AI now when it comes to productivity. Write me a letter explaining that my child was late to school because he hurt his foot. All of a sudden, send. Obviously, check it. But I quite often send emails through it. I quite often get to do baselines of presentations or write up a long presentation, maybe, or the background of a presentation or a email when I'm sending it to staff. Rewrite this, but make it make more sense to a group of professionals. All of a sudden, I've skipped the first 20 minutes of my email when it's a full staff email. Tweet, 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 done. Little things like this. And this is why we have to see the positivities. This is not a negative day for technology. This is seeing what the positives are. When it goes wrong, we aren't intentional with time, spending more time than we intended to on social media. Got a quick 10 minutes. The missus has just gone to the shop. Flick, flick, flick. She gets back. She cooks a meal. She puts the meal out. You eat the meal. You're on your phone. She's like, you've just spent 50 minutes on your phone, not said hi to me once, and I've just cooked you a meal, and you've now got the audacity to sit at the table and be on your phone. And you're like, wow, I don't even know how that happened. But if that keeps happening, it now becomes part of life. It's going to cause issues. Let it disrupt our everyday time, impact on our relationships with our kids, our family, our friends, our work colleagues. So start to take this step back is what we're hoping to get away from this. 29% of adult users across Europe, Middle East, and Africa are concerned about the negative impact of their own technology. So nearly 1 in 3 of us is genuinely concerned. And I know I do this every now and then. I go, why am I on TikTok after 2 hours? And don't get me wrong, I learn quite a lot. I've downloaded some videos. I have football skills that I intend to one day do to impress my friends and beat them. I have food things that I download for local restaurants and restaurants that I'd like to visit when I go to certain cities. So it does educate. But I also watch nonsense videos about a story that probably never happened for 20 minutes and then go, wow, I learned nothing there. My life is not better for it. 52% of all adult users across Europe, Middle East, and Africa would like help improving at least one technology behavior. So when we're talking about technology behavior, what do we see this as? So the ideal situation of your device to use, ideally your device use will be in control. So you've got set times that you're doing things. You've got things that you're looking into. You're using it to improve your work, improve your personal life, improve your relationships with people. The general impact with the positives, with the negatives, means that basically you have a positive outlook on what's going on with your personal life, with your devices. So when we're talking about this, we need to consider actually that as long as it's positive, at the end of the day, so 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but it's making your life better, this isn't something that's bad to consider. It's just making sure that you are considering how this can impact you. So what we need to do here is consider, well, we're all sat here, we're all talking about these things, we're all thinking about these things, but actually, how can we take these maybe to a different level? How can we improve ourselves on this? So write down goals that would help you to achieve a balance. So what is it you're looking at? So back in the day, I imagine my goal probably would have been higher efficiency at work. And you can have multiple, but a high efficiency at work means you're using technology to help you on this. But in addition to this, now, I would probably argue that some of my priorities have changed. Since having 2 kids, more time with my family. If I can do work and be more efficient, that also means I might be able to finish work quicker. I can spend more time with my family. Or organizing stuff with it, spending more time with my family. Feeling less scattered and more focused. So you can use tools to like make to-do lists. You can use tools to plan your day around what's going on. All of a sudden, again, technology is being good. It's using these things to plan, to make your mind more organized and to better balance your life. So write down what goals you want. What goals will help you achieve balance? So you've got that as your Northern Star. So we're going to pause for questions. I'm assuming so far we've had no questions, so we'll crack on. So what we're going to have a look through now is learn tips and tools for achieving a better balance with technology. So what things can we actually do? What is something that we can actually nail down to go, actually, this is what we need to do? So this is, I suppose, like a really good analogy of what your brain does. So there's something called memory optimizing. And you've got to think of this as the effort it takes for you to do something. So our brains may try to take as many shortcuts as possible. So when you're thinking, when you're doing something, your brain is essentially trying to be lazy. A really good example of this is when you butter a piece of toast. Do you think about it or do you just do it? So if you're literally going, right, got to get a piece of toast, get that out of the fridge, put that in the toaster, push it down, get there, butter it, eat it. At no point do you go, what do I have to do next? Right, let's get the bread out. Done. Put the bread away. Go to the fridge, get the butter out. Ooh, how do I butter this? Do I get this knife? Do I get that knife? Do I get a spoon? How do I butter this? Your brain literally does these things automatically for you. But the problem is your brain has something that is called cognitive laziness. And this is essentially where decisions and things that you're doing go down the path of least resistance, which means your brain will just do this, which means what you then need to consider is that bad habits get created through these. Essentially, the biological aspect of this, it's to do with the synapses and axons in your brain, creating routes where that is what I do. But sometimes it's about breaking some of these thought processes, like brushing your teeth with your left hand if you're right-handed, about going a different way to work, about doing something differently so that your brain has to think, which now means you're trying to go, actually, I don't want to do this. I want to think differently. And obviously a piece of toast, it makes no difference. But this is how when you're flicking through your phone and that 10 seconds becomes 10 minutes. So consider when we're doing this, that this is what your brain wants you to do. It wants you to take a shortcut to the path of least resistance. And sometimes you need to stop it to break out of some of these spells. So tips and tools to do this. Create good routines. We'll go into this in a second. Be more in control. Make space for screen-free time and be more focused at work. And all of these are things that technology can be based around. So first of all, observe your habits. Literally, one thing you could do here is you could go totally old school and literally get a pen and paper and just be like on laptop at 9 a.m. Phone call for 15 minutes. While on phone, flicking through TikTok, 15 minutes. Sending emails, 25 minutes. On a Zoom call, 25 minutes. Daily tasks, 45 minutes. And then at the end of the day, you might literally be like, wow, I have literally from 9 until 6 had a screen right in front of me. How could I change this? But at the moment, we're just looking at what we're doing. So that could be a top level. This is how much technology. Watch TV in the morning with the kids. Watch TV in the afternoon with the kids. Tracked my run when I'm at the gym. Watch TV at night or Netflix just to chill out with the missus on the sofa and go, right, that was nice. But literally that means that all day you've had a screen in front of you from your entertainment, from your work, to your chill, to your kids, to bed. So once you've started breaking this down, you can start to see what have I done on a top level. Next, maybe you get app on your phone. So this is on there now. Android and Apple both have these where they've essentially got apps and built-in software that tracks what you're doing. And you can literally see email 2 hours. And it's like, well, that's not ideal, but it is work. And I am doing it when I'm traveling and being efficient. Okay, brilliant. TikTok, 1 hour. Facebook, 1 hour. Twitter, 2 hours. So what? You've just spent 4 hours of your day on social media. But you know, to me, that is a classic example of check yourself before you wreck yourself, because you are literally burning 4 hours a day. What could you do with those 4 hours a day? Ring your friends, go to the pub, go for a coffee, see your parents, do anything other than burning that time. Not to say you can't still spend that time on the metro on the way home, on the bus, multitasking. Then once you've done this, you can then start to go, right, let me put limits on some of these apps so I get a notification when this happens. All of a sudden, you've started to bring some of this time back. Do some spring cleaning. Look at the apps that you're using. Does this impact your life positively? No, remove. Just no, remove. And then all of these things then bring together to go, this is what I need to do. Put your devices to bed. So be in more control. So possibly put your phone down. Literally at bedtime, leave it on the table at the end of your bedroom. Leave it downstairs if you can. It then means you can't physically do it. My missus has got, for example, set bedtime, so her phone goes black and white only after 10 p.m. And it sort of is a visual reminder that you're still on your phone. It also turns off the blue light, which is quite good for your eyes and quite good for your brain. But what's amazing about this, it's a subtle and not even subtle, an obvious reminder you're on your phone. So just start to think about that when you can. Try meditation apps. So you can have it on the side, breathing apps where it's just sound. Helps you sleep, helps you calm. So it could be just before bed, you turn the sea sound on, you turn the jungle sound on. We did that for a few months once and I actually quite enjoyed it. For what's it called sound as well? White noise. There's also brown noise, I believe I've heard recently. But all of these things are things that help you relax, help you calm, help you be in a meditative state, that help you turn off. And then technology, again, is doing something for the good. Having voice assistants means you don't even need to have a screen to do that. So being in more control is a fundamental part of what we're trying to get across here. Make space for tech-free time. So be present with others. Like, if you start thinking about this, the best gift that you can give others is your full attention. You're not sat. Imagine if I was on this presentation just going, the best gift that you can give others is time. Have you seen this? So funny. Sorry, what we were talking about. Who are you? Why are you in this conversation? You are not present in that conversation. So all of a sudden, by giving this gift of you, by being the difference between someone and someone else, means you can improve your life. You'll start listening to things more. You'll start interacting more. All of a sudden, this now means that everybody can be involved with you because you've got space, headspace, time, showing you're willing to be in their presence and enjoy it. And rather than FOMO, the fear of missing out, JOMO. So have any of you heard of this? The joy of missing out. Oh, did you see that really funny TikTok? No. Tell me about it. Oh, that is quite funny. But I've not just watched it 10 times and seen people reacting to it and seen people reposting and talking about it. Don't do that. So all of a sudden, the joy of missing out now negates the fear of missing out. Let your mind wander. Maybe just sit there. Go for a walk. For example, putting some headphones on, positive technology. Go for a walk. Have a cup of tea and just stare out of the window. Listen to some music. Don't have to stare at a screen to keep yourself entertained. All of a sudden, the best ideas sometimes that you get are in the shower. Why? Because you just switched off. You've got you time. So it could just be you say, right, 15 minutes a day, I'm going to sit at that window on my comfy chair with a cup of tea, just stare into nothing. Or give myself a moment to do some colouring, do something physical, something different that is going to benefit your life. Again, being more focused at work, how could we do this? So, for example, your personal life is not allowed in your work life, but it's thinking, actually, your personal life is there, but the reason you work is to improve your personal life. So what could we do about this? All of a sudden, when we start thinking about this, right, could we turn notifications off between 9 and 3? If someone really needs me, they're going to ring, I'll get that. All of a sudden, you're not going, getting some work done. Oh, Joe sent me a funny GIF. One sec. Joker. Oh, here's a funny link to a TikTok video. TikTok. Oh, that's very interesting. 10 minutes have passed. 15 more. Need to get on with some work. Oh, Adam sent me 10 minutes have passed. All of a sudden, it could directly impact on your work, your job, your pay, because you've not turned off notifications. So test some of these features. Having your phone that extra little bit of distance means you have to move. So, for example, if this was my phone, having it next to me and it goes, bzz, it's really easy for my mind just to do that really lazy cognitive thinking. Quick look. Yeah, put it down. Quick look. Put it down. But if you put it, say, on a table where you have to stretch, on a table at the other side of the room, if someone rings, you're going to pick it up. If it's just a quick buzz, turn it on silent. Turn on notifications for your work to say notifications happening, but turn off your personal ones. All of a sudden, you've started to get this disconnect between you and the device. Disconnect and set an out of office reply. I'm away from my desk or away from my digital desk at the moment, concentrating on some tasks. These are my times that are available. Email me. And then once a day, twice, 3 times a day, you go through your emails. You don't just open them randomly. It means then you can sort of put your time into compartment. It's got decompartmentalize. So you literally go, that hour's for that, that hour's for that. 20 minutes, check my emails. I'm going to do that task. That it could even be flexible task for your day, 1 hour. But what you started to do is put these things into baskets. You're out of office means you won't be replying to emails in these times. And then all of a sudden, people start to see that this is your routine. And I will talk to them when it suits me, not when it suits them. They could ring you in the middle of the day at 10 a.m. Or you could say, every day at, say, 11 or 12, I'll ring people back who have rang me. All of a sudden, you're not taking these broken down calls that interrupt your tasks. You're doing it at a moment that suits you. Do not disturb is on. Auto replies are on. So that people still get the communications, but it's giving them a bit of an idea that I'm busy right now. I'll get back to you when I'm busy, when I'm not busy. But the auto reply tells them this information. So start to think how you can do this. All of the tools and tips. So observe your habits. So one of the things you want to think about here is maybe take a print screen of this, make some notes, observe your habits, see what you're doing, track them, remove some of these distractions out of your life, put your device out of reach of yourself, enjoy missing out things, and manage your notifications. That's a top level. But if you apply all of these, maybe 1 a week, and start to go down the red, then the orange, then the green, then the blue, you'll see a big difference in the impact of this on your average everyday life. So hopefully this is giving you some solid understanding. Once again, we've not had any questions yet. I would love some of you to get involved. I'd love some questions to be dropped in. Maybe things that has happened to you. Maybe things that frustrates you about other people who are in sort of like normal life. Things that frustrate you about these. So do feel free to put these forward. Do feel free to ask these questions, put these things to us, and we'll get back to you and hopefully interact with you as much as possible. So how can we apply these tools and tips to form healthy habits? So when we're doing this, we need to consider actually, we want to start building these healthy habits. We want to actually make these things so that we can basically get these habits into our lives normally. So that instead of it being, what's it called? Instead of it being something we have to think about, we're trying to build this now as a habit. We're trying to make it part of our routine, which means we need to make it habits, not the extra, not that I'll try it every now and then. So how can we do this? It means we need to start considering ourselves. We need to start small. No human changes overnight. I'm currently going to the gym 4 days a week. The reason I did this is because I was like, I need to be healthier. I need to be better. I was doing 2 days a week here, 4 days a week there, 1 day a week there, no days for 6 weeks. And at the end of it, I was like, this is not about me ticking a box going to the gym. This is about me improving my health, which then means I have to go, right, 3 or 4 days a week plus football, that's good enough. But that now means it becomes a habit, not an addition. So these small changes means that then it becomes a norm. And then what else are you going to do to be a habit? Right, I'm going to try and cook healthier food. Or I'm going to put my phone at one side of the bed beforehand. So when we go back to these little things here, this could be something you do, a little one of these every week and add something on. So you go, well, that was quite easily. Because it means then, yeah, you might fail at one of these. That's fine. But by keep doing it, it might be that, for example, a bullet journal. One of my friends makes bullet journals and he has tasks that he does every day. And it can be literally went to the gym, green. Another one below it, put my phone away from me at night, green. And just before bed, he has that moment to reflect on his day and gone, yep. And then on another page, he has one where if he's done 4 gym sessions in that week, or he's put his phone away for 5 days that week, he's got another one, which is a weekly tracker, and he colors that green. And then throughout the whole year, you can see he's hit his targets every day. He's accomplished something. He's changed something. He's reflecting on his behavior. And this is what I'm saying when we're saying start small, change habits, fail, succeed, fail, succeed. See the difference, question yourself. So write down 3 tips and tools that will help you achieve your balance and goals. And commit to doing these every day. And maybe have a little tick box, a little journal. Maybe even start to consider having a diary, even if it's just for this. Or even on your phone, you've got something like Google Keep, or you've got a document or a spreadsheet, and it literally just says what is, and you put a yes and a no in a box. You don't have to be amazing at spreadsheets to make that. So what could we do here? So when we start looking at these top level things that will help you out in your average every day, one of these examples could be work. So the example that we're going to have a look at here is have a higher efficiency at work. So you're maybe aware that you get a bit distracted, you're working from home, make a little bit of a cup of tea there, have a bit of lunch there, a bit bored, have a snack there. Oh, my phone's going, just answer that call. Hi, Jamie. Yeah, 10 minutes, of course I have. That's fine if it's work. But if Jamie's just ringing to go, what do you fancy for dinner tonight when we go out with the boys? All of a sudden, it's like that's the middle of your day. Don't answer it. Message back. Call you at lunchtime. Start to bring these habits forward. And now all of a sudden, you can practice deep work because you're not getting distracted. You might put a block every day for 2 hours to do my biggest task of the day. And at the end of the day before, you apply what you're going to do that day or that week. So you can still move things around if need be. Someone needs a meeting. Okay, I'm going to move that to there, have the meeting there, move that there. Still done the same work, but now my work starts to work around my time. Do not disturb to be more focused. So literally on your phone, on my phone, there's literally a big button when I flick down from the top that literally says the words mute notifications, focus mode. All of a sudden, I push that. You tick the apps that you want to break your focus. So it could be your Outlook for work, it could be your Teams for work, and it could be maybe other work-based apps. Brilliant. That now means it won't show you the other ones. It'll mean you don't get notifications from them. Use these tools at the end of your fingertips. Disconnect when needed from certain apps to help focus. So literally remove them or use a notification timers. Both of these have very much come hand in hand. By you doing do not disturb, you've started to remove some notifications that you don't need. Disconnect means that you've actually got time where maybe you're physically doing something, you're planning something, and you're not using technology. Could be a way of doing it. But then all of these mean now you can do deep work. You can practice deep work because you've got the headspace. You've got the lack of being distracted. You've got the lack of digital taking over you to go, actually, there's 2 hours to blitz this off. All I needed was that 2 hours. I put it off for 2 weeks because I never get 2 hours. Well, now you have. If your objective maybe is to spend more time with your family, how could we do this? Be present with others could be the first one. So literally go, right, I'm pretty bad at this. My phone, when I go into someone's house, I'm going to leave it in my bag, or I'm going to turn do not disturb on, or even start to use some of these apps that you've started to using for work outside of work. Put focus mode on, put do not disturb on. On an iPhone, you've got a little switch on the side, instantly does it. On an Android phone, there's little buttons, digital buttons at the top. You can also just hit the volume, hit the button, comes across with all your different volumes, flick the ones down that aren't media. All of a sudden, you started to get a bit of your life back. You're not on the phone all the time. You started to put that time aside to say that. And as well, maybe you work 9 to 5, but you keep getting phone calls at 5:30, 6. If you answer those phone calls every day and they're not urgent, it's just, oh, Joe, just need to check on this. If you answer them every day, the expectation is you're answering these phone calls every day. If you start to go, 5 o'clock's come, turn my phone off or put it on silent. If it's really urgent, like HR urgent or company level urgent, they've got my personal number, my boss has that. They will know to only ring me if they need to ring me. Otherwise, a missed call, ring them back tomorrow. Hey, Joe, I was just checking. Have you got that report for next week? Is it still on track? Yeah, it is. Brilliant. Could you just make sure this is added? Of course I can. Done. But now you've not had that conversation at 5:30, 6. You're now sat with your kids, sat with your family, enjoying dinner, making dinner with them. building this time to be present during family meal times rather than flicking through your phones. And I'm not saying that I don't do it. I'm not saying that everyone doesn't do it. But sometimes it might be a little nudge from your wife, a little nudge from yourself going, what am I doing? Phone over there. Let me talk to my kid about how school was today. And I know when I was younger, I loved sitting at the dinner table and there weren't phones. And every day, mum would ask me, how was school? Right. But all of a sudden, I might have a full-blown conversation about something I enjoyed. And I remember those moments vividly. And that's what technology is starting to do, is take some of those away and give the gift of the joy of missing out. Okay, next time I'm on a family holiday, I'm going to try and keep my phone to the side and just be there. Don't answer those work emails. Don't answer those personal text messages from your group of mates you used to work with at school who you go out with about every 6 months. Just leave it aside. In the evening, kids are in bed, glass of wine, have a chill with the missus, calm down, maybe just before bed, quick check on my phone. That's quite funny. A few messages back, done. All of a sudden, both of them create the same output. You've found something funny, you've engaged with someone, but now you've got more time to build with your family because you've got the joy of missing out. And on holidays, that's what you're there for. You're there to switch off. Implement screen-free meal times. One thing that I have seen starting to come into normal life is something called a phone jail. And I know it sounds a bit over the top, but if you've got teenagers, if you've got adults, young adults, old adults, my grandparents are getting guilty of this now. They've got Duolingo and literally burn 3 or 4 hours a day sometimes on it. Amazing, they educate themselves. Same premise though. So you can get something called a phone jail, where you literally get a device, you put your phone in it, you twist something, and it says you've got 1 hour and no one can touch the device during that time because it's in the jail. Obviously, there are buttons and keys for variations of these particular objects that can open it during that time. But the idea is you get to the end of that hour, well done. So during meal times, you're present with everyone. Maybe before bedtime, 8 o'clock, maybe a bit older with older kids, everyone's phone's going there. Or all technology lives downstairs at the end of the day. But all of these things are screen time. If it's a tablet, if it's a phone, if it's a laptop, if it's a TV, what can we do to try and think, right, every night before bed, my child watches TV? I'm not saying I'm perfect, but we do one episode of his favorite program and we do a bedtime story. Then we that's a program, by the way, on the BBC. Then we read a book and then we have a little story in his bedroom. But that last bit has got no screen time ever. Might put some music on, might put a story box on that he's got, but all of this is screenless because I don't want him to do this. I'm going to obviously have to hit this at one point, but at the moment he's only 3, so I don't need to think about it. But each one of these is a conscious decision to not let him have a screen. So share one commitment. Has anybody here wrote up some of these? For me, I know it's definitely going to be present during that meal times. And when I'm on holiday, I actually do make a massive effort to leave my phone in there and just relax on the side of the pool when you can, when your child's not diving into the pool unexpectedly. But all of a sudden, to me, the joy of missing out and being present with others. And then when it comes to work, it's probably practice deep work should be my biggest one, to give myself a block of time to do this. So what has everybody else done? Has anybody else had anything yet? I know Chammy's got older kids. Maybe his might be next time he's at a meal doing the same thing. But at the same time, just think of this. Even if you're not sharing it, commit to some of these. Commit to making that difference. Like we said here, write 3 things down. Even if you're not sure, just write what you think you could improve down. And then this will give you the small changes to create these habits. So how can you master these commitments? So the first thing you need to do, try and take that step back. Using all of these things we've talked about, these small steps, these small things, means we can hopefully be more aware of the things that trigger negative behavior. So is it a little message pops up and you're like, right, I've got this mastered. WhatsApp, boom. Yep, see you later on. Bye. Phone on the table. No, nay, not just on the table. On the table at the other side of the room. I can hear it buzzing. I'm going to ignore it. I'm in my deep work time. Later on, your kids are awake. Your kids are coming home from school. Right. It buzzed. Someone's ringing me. Quick look who it is. I don't see that being too important. I can message them possibly again. If it's important, I can grab it. If not, that could be your compromise, depending what job you've got. Or on the flip side, it could just be unavailable, out of office at this time, done. Work hard to change these routines, because if you can be more aware of it, then you start to get the positives out of it. Reward yourself for this positive behavior. Reward yourself to say, actually, the positive of this is I've now got more time. Find a way to give yourself these positives, so you start to see that as positive reinforcements. You start to see your kids being more engaged with you. Now you're like, right, this is brilliant. The less time I'm spending on my phone, the more time I get with my kids, the more I see them bouncing off me, jumping with me, playing with me, going to the park for 20 minutes, because now I've got 20 minutes that I've not just burned doing nothing. Expect changes to be gradual, but like anything, celebrate the small wins. So week 1, it's going to track what I'm doing. End of the week, well done, Joe. You've got a list of everything that you've done every day. And now I can sort of try and accumulate this. And then I've got a little mini report. Let's have a quick look at this. Oh, that's quite interesting. God, TikTok, 4 hours in one day. That's horrendous. What could I have done with that time? Emails, 6 hours in one day. Right, maybe I need to start breaking my emails down into a few chunks. I've achieved that. Small win. But all of these things create something that is small, that is giving you that little positive feeling, that's giving you that, like, ooh, that was good. And then all of a sudden, this now means you can hopefully go, well, I've got more time here, got a bit more time there. I'm going to bed earlier here, talking to my kids more here, more present in my family here. My missus keeps complaining, and this is life sometimes for me, keep complaining that I'm not making dinners, I'm not making meal times, so I might get home late. Right, I'm going to try and get home earlier, because I'm going to try and stop being less distracted at work and get more work done and finish on time. All of a sudden, I'm now home on time. I'm helping the meals. She's now not doing as much cooking, which means now we're doing a bit more equal. She's happier. I'm happier. Kids are happier. Look what's happening. All of these micro wins are creating bigger wins. Happier home, happier balance. And this is what it's all about, is small changes, not big, and adding it on. Sort of like a little Lego block. 1 Lego block, no one's going to notice. 2, no one's going to notice. Probably 6 or 7, no one's going to notice. But all of a sudden, when you start to build an absolute tower, because you're on 20 odd, 30 odd, now you're going to start seeing the positives. So spend this time developing this to give your chance this opportunity. So last of all, what did we cover today? So today, what did we cover? 1, understanding the concept of digital well-being. So what it is to have digital well-being, what it is to have digital balance, starting to take some of those steps backwards so that you can go, actually, these steps backwards that I'm taking are meaning that I'm going 3 steps backwards to plan all of this and burn more time digitally to track this. But now a week's passed. I'm now 3 steps forward because I understand what habits I have. I understand what's burning my time. I understand where actually I could improve some of this time. So now we take another step, reflect upon the usage and define what balance is. Well, I can't really take away work time. I can't really take away email time. But what I could do is I keep answering these emails randomly, decompartmentalize. I'm going to reply to emails here. I'm going to do this here. I'm going to do all of this slowly and steadily. But then the goal of it is going to be that at the end of it, you've looked at all these positives. You've looked at all these negatives. You've now built out your reflective process and hopefully done something to directly impact on each of them and go, this is what I've done for that. That's what I've done for that. Let's see how this goes week 1. You know what? That was quite palatable. What could I do week 2? Let's double the amount of things that I'm doing. That's too much. Okay, take 1 back. All of a sudden, you're just trying to find this balance. You're reflecting on what you've achieved. You're reflecting on what the impact is. Do you want more impact? Do you want more time? How close are you to that goal? And by reflecting, you're starting to break these synapses in your brain. You're starting to turn off this cognitive laziness. And you're actively thinking, right, at 5 o'clock, I'm going to start prepping tea. Or at 1 o'clock during lunch, I'm going to prep tea. And then at 5 o'clock, I'm going to cook it. But now you've got an extra 10 minutes of not prepping because you've done it at lunchtime because you're working from home that day. And now it starts to fit in because you're breaking not just your work and your life, but everything into this mixing pot of digital excellence because you've spent the time to be on this. You've spent the time breaking it down to give you your reflection. And then using some of these tips that we've talked about to break these behaviors, using some of these tools on your phone, using some of these tools to track what you're doing, to optimize what you're doing, means you can do this. And then apply those tools and actually do them. Take these micro steps. And if you think, you know what, this is working really well for me, and I do get a bit frustrated with my mate, my wife, my mum, my dad, my grandma, my granddad, all of a sudden, right, could you have that polite conversation and say, you know what, I watched this, you could watch this, or this is the process that I did. I think it would benefit you. Obviously, eggshells may need to be walked on, but some people aren't aware of what they're doing. Like when I talked to Lauren and she said, literally, I'm so sorry, mate, it was just automatic. Her brain just went down this route and she didn't even think. But the problem was she didn't think. And this is what we want from this. We want everybody to think. The reason we want you to think is because we want you to take this further. We want you to start thinking about what you're doing. We want you to start developing what you're doing so that actually in the long run, everyone's happy at the end of it. So one thing we do ask though is when we finish today's presentation, hopefully you've enjoyed it. Obviously, if you didn't feel like getting involved, that is absolutely fine. I think that essentially the main thing is we're here. The main thing is you've turned up for this. The main thing for me is actually you've taken this first step. And when we start looking back at what we just talked about then, which is essentially what are the steps? How are we going to do this? You have taken these steps, which now means you're substantially possibly further than other people are. So when we start to think about this, let's make sure we take these steps. Rewatch this video. Take this time outside of this presentation to write yourself these notes, to write down all the things that you want to achieve. Then your subtasks. What can we do now to give myself the best chance to do this? And then last of all, bring these all together and choose one by one, week by week, month by month, to try and see that actually we are going to achieve these things, even if it takes a long time. We're going to change these behaviors in our brain, and we are going to accomplish every single one of these and find your balance with technology. Create your digital well-being so that other people start to go, you know what, you seem a lot more switched on at the moment. You seem a lot more awake. Well, yeah, because I've started to go, these are my time slots. These are the things that I'm going to achieve. I have achieved. So what are we going to do next? What are your next steps? Take your time to do this. Feel free as well to go to goo.gul/digital garage feedback. Please give us some feedback on today's presentation. Did you enjoy it? Was it something that you think you could pass on to other people? Was it too fast? Was it too slow? Too much content? Too little content? Or just like Goldilocks, was it perfect? Was that porridge the right temperature and the right amount with the right size chair and a comfy bed? Hopefully you've really enjoyed today's session. Hopefully you've walked away with some really reasonable, positive understanding. And additionally, I'd like to thank Chami, as usual, brilliantly at moderating, dropping his knowledge to any questions, giving you any links that you might need. This presentation is pretty self-led, but I do love the fact that we've got him there always for backup. When questions come, he'll be ready for you as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's presentation. Hopefully we'll see you again at the Google Digital Garage. And remember, we don't just cover areas like this. We also cover digital marketing. If you've got a small business, if you know someone that's got a small business, we have an entire digital marketing area where we can boost your confidence for your business. And this could be creating videos for YouTube, find insights with analytics, getting started with analytics, social media strategy, writing for social media. All of these are amazing opportunities for you to expand your knowledge, expand your friends' knowledge, charities' knowledge, anyone's knowledge. If you go to the Google Digital Garage website, which will magically appear in the comments, you'll be able to see these online webinars all totally for free. And if, for example, maybe you want to take it that step further, there's also a lot of online content that is certified. You get online certificates that are European recognized, where you can do either fundamentals of digital advertising, which basically gives you a broad course across all digital advertising platforms and digital aspects of digital advertising. And there's also more in-depth ones around analytics and around ads. And again, you can get intermediate and advanced courses where you will learn and get certificates that you can use in the real world. And hopefully, if you have a business, in that as well. Either way, have a look at the Google Digital Garage. We also have one-to-ones available. So do feel free to have a look at the link that will appear on the side as well. If you're English, if you're in the UK, or you're a charity or a business owner, you have to be at least in the UK and have a business or be a charity. You can sign up for those. Hopefully that gives you everything you can take away from today's session, and a little bit of time at the end just to add that additional bit of information. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much, everyone that's turned up. Have a good day.